Welcome back to our 21-day introduction to Matomo Cloud. The past few videos we've been looking at the visits log, real-time map, and this is all data which is happening real time. We of course have the ability for the visits log to go back in the past and look at past visits, but for the most part all this data is really just based on individual visits. Now we're getting into the reports. So the reports are an aggregated view of all the visits that are coming in. We've just done the real-time map, so we'll jump into locations, which would be our first port, and this is the aggregated data of all our visits. So here we've got a breakdown of the locations we visited by continent, country, region, and in some cases cities. So if you're a global company, this is obviously going to be a very valuable tool to see where your campaigns or advertising or visitors are coming from in the world. To start off, we've got this world map across the top here, which in the darker the colour, the more activity there is. We can choose the location by this drop down here. We can choose the metric here, so this is unique visitors. We've got visits, actions per visit, average time website, and the bounce rates. Any one of those metrics might be more important to you, so let's go for visits. And of course it'll be sort of very similar to unique visits. The only difference we might see is perhaps we'd have the bounce rate might change things around a bit, as it does quite a bit. We'll go back to visits, and we could choose the country here we're interested in, but it'd be easier if we just clicked on the country itself. So if we click on the country, it zooms it in, and then we click on it again, it zooms it in even further. If we can see, California is going to have the highest amount of visits, which is probably expected perhaps, followed up by Texas, Florida. And if we click on California again, it'll give us an evolution of how visits from the area have increased or decreased. And similar from day one, we've got the same options down the bottom. We can export it, save this as an image, add annotations, and change the range that we're viewing in the evolution graph itself. Down the bottom, we can click on each of these different metrics for it to appear in the graph above. We don't have the drop down on this particular report, so we just need to click them from down the bottom to see what the metrics look like in the evolution graph. We click it again and we start to zoom out. Scrolling down, we've got the results by continent. We can see that Europe shows our highest visits just slightly, and we've also got evolution graphs here, which is similar to what we saw up above. Down the bottom, we've got the options to have the row totals. So the row totals will be for not just for this what you're seeing here, but for the entire amount of countries. We have pagination down here like we have over here, that'll be showing up in the row totals. So this is a pretty basic table in the scheme of things. It's just got the continent and the amount of visits and the proportion of visits broken down to percentages when we mouse over. Down here we've got much more powerful insights. So we've got display table with visitor engagement metrics. So this gives us the unique visitors, actions per visit, and the bounce rate. So there's a lot more detailed information available for this chart, and even better still, we've got the goal metrics. So if you've got particular goals, particularly if you're an e-commerce store, you want to know which countries are converting the most. It's a great report to provide that information, as long as all the other goals that you have created in your Matomo. And down the side here we've got the revenue per visit, so you can see which continents are providing the best revenue. We've got our insights report, and here it just gives us a quick overview of increasing and decreasing traffic based on the previous day. So Asia is up 2.6% from yesterday. We can change the range to the same day in the previous week, so today last week and today last year. So hopefully you'll see some great gains. As you can see here, we're up 288% on the same day last year. And the filters, we can have only movers, only new, and only disappeared. We can provide only the websites that have moved, and over a year you would hope that all your websites have moved or increased. Only new, so this would be if we're going into new areas, we might see new countries in here, but it's unknown. So sometimes the IP address can't be located, so you'll have unknown. And that's all based on the MaxMind database. So if MaxMind can't find out where the IP address is, you'll get the location of unknown. And only disappeared any countries which have not appeared again in the last year, which would be pretty unusual, because over a year you expect all the countries to appear, so maybe the previous day there might be something. Nope. So this particular website's getting visits from all the same countries every day. And we can choose whether they're increasing or decreasing. We can also export this report as well. Going back down to our visualization option, we've got a vertical bar graph which gives us a visual representation of the visits from their locations. And same for pie charts, so perhaps you prefer pie charts over bar charts. They're all there, you can choose. And tag cloud just means that it'll produce a graphical view of your visits by just enlarging the text based on the amount of visits. So Asia, Europe and North America are quite large, obviously, so we go back and compare it to our simple table. They certainly are at the top of the list for visitors. Down here we've got the unique countries, so all the countries you get visits from. See, it's 129 distinct countries from the almost 200 that are available. Web browser language. And down here, for some reason in the demo data, it doesn't show you the web browser language, but every web browser has a language set in it, or operating system has a language set in it. MaxMind or Matomo can't determine where the visitor is from. It might display that under the web browser language. We can change between language code and web browser language, but again, for this demo data, we don't have any web browser languages in there at the moment. Coming over to the right, we go from continent down to country, region and city. We still have the same insights as the continents report with the simple tables, goals metrics, engagement metrics, insights and pie charts, for example. We can also still export as we did previously and export as an image. More than what's available here, so we've got the pagination, so we can set this to whatever we want. So we'll set this to 250 to show all our countries, and we can see they're all displayed there on how many visits we have been getting from those countries. We've also got a segmented log, so if we only wanted to see visitors from the United States, for example, we would click on that, and here are all the visitors only from the United States. And if we wanted to, we could export this report for viewing offline. And so it breaks it down from country, region and city, and sometimes this data just isn't available and we get the unknown. In practice, I wouldn't expect to see this much unknown. It's just this demo data seems to have a lot more unknowns than what is really expected. Maybe it's using an old database table, I'm not too sure, but in your own Matomo, this would be quite a small figure compared to what you're seeing here. So all the insights for the report are exactly the same. You've got your simple graph or your simple table, visit engagement, goals, metrics, insights, and all the rest, all available for all the other charts. And of course we can still view all the regions if you want to. And you can have the segmented log for people from Sydney. If your website's a global website, you want to keep track of visitors across the world, this is definitely a great report to have. So you've got all your metrics available, so you can see which areas are getting the most amount of traffic and which ones you need to work on. I think the engagement metrics is quite a good one. So we've got the metrics and we've got the average time on website, so we can see that Europe's got some quite high visit times, but if we go down to Central America, for example, it's a minute, it's only 2 minutes. So perhaps there's a problem for the website for this customer. Perhaps because it's not in the language that they understand, they don't spend too much time on the website. You can see from the increased bounce rate as well that perhaps they're not coming and staying for as long as they could be. So you could identify that Central America needs some work with regards to the website performance. So that's a quick overview of the locations report. In our next video we'll be doing devices.